ओके स्टूडेंट्स, आपको आवाज आ रही है मेरी? हेलो।
मैम आ रही।
अच्छा, कुछ थोड़ा सा इंटरनेट का इशू हो रहा था, उसकी वजह से मैंने थोड़ी देर के लिए लेक्चर को जो है वो डिले कर दिया। ओके, टुडेज टॉपिक इज थायराइड हार्मोन्स। So first we will talk about the thyroid gland. So thyroid gland is located just below the larynx, and it's a bilobed structure, as you can see here in the figure. The thyroid gland is a bilobed structure and is located just below the larynx on anterior side and anterior to the trachea. So thyroid gland is actually a bilobed structure, and this gland is present in the neck region just below the larynx and anterior to the trachea. It normally weighs about 15 to 20 grams in adults. So about the size or weight, it's about normally weighs about 15 to 20 grams in adults. That is about the location of the thyroid gland in the body. Next is about the physiologic anatomy of the thyroid gland. So, thyroid gland is composed of large number of closed follicles. As you can see here in the figure, that the thyroid gland is composed of large number of closed follicles, and such follicles are about 100 to 300 micrometers in diameter. These follicles are filled with a substance which is known as, or a fluid filled region which is known as colloid. So thyroid follicles are contains a fluid filled region which is known as fluid filled structure which is known as colloid. The major constituent of the colloid is a large protein, a large glycoprotein, and this glycoprotein is known as thyroglobulin. And of the colloids within thyroid follicle is the glycoprotein which is known as thyroglobulin. This thyroglobulin contains thyroid hormones within its molecule. So thyroid globulin is actually a glycoprotein that actually contains thyroid hormone within its molecules, or thyroid hormones are associated with thyroglobulins. Thyroid gland is composed of two main types of cells. So as one type of cell which are known as follicles, and the second type of cells are known as the C cells. So thyroid gland composed of two different type of cells. One is known as follicular cells. The follicular cell secretes two different type of hormones, and these are known as iodine containing hormones. One is known as a thyroxine, and thyroxine is also called as tetraiodothyronine. And the second type of hormone which is secreted by follicular cells is known as triiodothyronine or T3. So follicular cells of the thyroid gland secrete two types of hormone. One is known as the tetraiodothyronine, which is also called as thyroxine, and second is known as T3 or triiodothyronine. Second type of the thyroid gland produces another kind of cell which is known as are composed of another kind of cell which is known as C cells. So C cells secrete another type of hormone which is known as calcitonin. Calcitonin hormone is related to the calcium homeostasis. In today's lecture, we will just restricted to the first type of hormones which are produced by the follicular cells are known as thyroxine and triiodothyronine. So today's lecture is just focused on T3 and T4. So what are thyroid hormones? So thyroid hormones are produced by the thyroid glands, and such hormones have diverse effects or diverse functions throughout the human body. As we have already discussed, there the two types of the iodine containing molecules or hormones are produced by the thyroid gland. One is known as a thyroxine, which is known also called as a tetraiodothyronine, And second type of the hormone, which is known as T3 or triiodothyronine. About 90% of the thyroid hormone is normally thyroxine. So about 90% of the thyroid hormone is consist of thyroxine or T4, and only 7% is triiodothyronine. So about 93% of the thyroid hormones is normally thyroxine, and rest of the 7% is triiodothyronine. Next is about the synthesis of thyroid hormones. How thyroid hormones are synthesized within thyroid gland. So the thyroid hormones are produced by the follicular cells of the thyroid gland, and different steps are involved in the process of the synthesis of the thyroid hormones within thyroid follicle cells. So as you can see here in the figure, the different steps of the synthesis of the thyroid hormone within the follicular cell. So as you can see here in the figure, that shows a follicular cell which bears a fluid containing region which is known as colloid, or the follicular cell surrounds a colloid. So first step in the synthesis of the thyroid hormone is the synthesis of the thyroglobulin. So in the first step of the synthesis of the thyroid hormone is the synthesis of the thyroglobulin, which is actually a glycoprotein. So this thyroglobulin glycoprotein is synthesized within the lumen of the follicular cells, and then this thyroglobulin protein is released or discharged into the region which is known as colloid. So the first step in the synthesis of the thyroid hormone is the synthesis of thyroglobulin protein and in the lumen of the follicular cells. And after the synthesis of the thyroglobulin protein, then it's transported to the from the lumen of the follicular cells to the region which is known as colloid. So then this hormone then this glycoprotein or the thyroglobulin is transported to the colloid. The second step in the synthesis of the thyroid hormone is also known as iodide trapping. So the second step is known as iodide trapping. So in iodide trapping, that the iodide ions are transported from the blood into the thyroid glandular cells or the follicle cells or the follicles. So during the iodide trapping, that the iodide ions are actually which are moving in the blood streams, and such ions are transported from the blood into the lumen of the follicular cells or the thyroid glandular cells. This iodide trapping is actually stimulated by chemical messenger or hormone which is known as thyrotropin or thyroid stimulating hormone. So trapping of the iodide ions from the bloodstream to the follicle cells or the thyroid follicles is regulated by or is maintained by TSH or thyroid stimulating hormone. Next step is the oxidation of the active form of the iodine. So next step is the oxidation of the iodide ions into the active form of iodine. For this purpose, the oxidation of the iodine is done by certain kind of enzymes such as the peroxidase enzyme and along with that the hydrogen peroxide. So the second step in the synthesis of the thyroid hormone is the oxidation of iodide ion, and then result of the oxidation, then iodide ions are converted into the active form of the iodine, and this is done by the enzyme which is known as the peroxidase enzyme. So the next step is the third step is known as the iodination of the tyrosine, are also known as the organification of the thyroglobulin. So the next or the third step in the synthesis of the thyroid hormone is the iodination of the tyrosine and organification of thyroglobulin. So during the iodination of the tyrosine, iodine enters from the follicle's lumen where it is attached to the tyrosine in the colloid. So as the iodine, active iodines are present in the follicle lumen of the follicular cell, then this iodine is transported from the lumen to the colloid, and here it is attached to the thyroglobulins. So in this step, iodine enters from the follicle's lumen and then it's attached to the tyrosine in the colloid.
मैम
So
आपकी आवाज बहुत
tyrosine,
कम आ रही है.
okay. So the next step is known as the iodination of the tyrosine and the organification of thyroglobulin. No students, can you hear my voice clearly? बच्चों आपको क्लियर आवाज आ रही है?
यस मैम, पहले भी सही आ रही थी.
Okay. So we are talking about the synthesis of thyroid hormones. So synthesis of thyroid hormones involved different steps. So first step is actually known as iodide trapping. So the first step is known as the iodide. First step is known as the synthesis of the thyroglobulin hormone, and synthesis of the thyroglobulin hormone occurs in the lumen of the thyroid follicle cells. After the synthesis of the thyroglobulin glycoprotein, then it's transported to the colloid. Second step is known as the iodide trapping, and during the iodide trapping, that the iodide ions are transported from the blood, as you can see here in the figure, that the iodide ions are transported from the blood into the thyroid follicular cells. So the process is known as iodide trapping. That is actually the transport of iodide ions from the blood to the thyroid follicle cells. And then the next step is the oxidation of the iodide ions. This process this step also occurs in the lumen of the follicle cells. And oxidation is done by an enzyme which is known as peroxidase enzyme, and it's also accompanying to the hydrogen peroxide. And in result of the oxidation, now the iodide ions are transformed into are actually transformed into another type which is known as an active form of the iodine. Then in the next step, this active form of iodine is transported from the lumen of the follicle cells to the fluid filled region which is known as colloid. So this colloid also bears a glycoprotein which is known as thyroglobulin. So in the next step, the iodine which enters from the follicle lumen. Now this iodine is attached to the tyrosine amino acid. So tyrosine amino acids are actually the part of the thyroglobulin. So that is actually the attachment of the iodines to the thyroglobulin. So thyroglobulin also carries a tyrosine amino acid. So in this step, that is actually the binding of the iodine to the tyrosine amino acid. So in result of the iodine molecule or the binding of the iodine to the tyrosine amino acid, then the structure which is formed is known as the monoiodotyrosines and diiodotyrosine. When two iodine molecules are attached to the tyrosine amino acid, then the structure is known as diiodotyrosines. When a single iodine molecule is attached to the tyrosine amino acid, then the structure is known as monoaminotyrosine. So in result of binding of the iodine molecule to the tyrosine amino acid in the colloid, then monoiodotyrosine and the diiodotyrosines are formed. So the next step is the linking or the attachment of the two the next step is actually the attachment of the iodinated tyrosines, or in other words, the next step is also known as the formation of the active T3 and the T4 hormones, or the formation of the triiodothyronine and tetraiodothyronine. So how finally the triiodothyronine and the tetraiodothyronine are formed? They are found when hydrogenated tyrosines, which are also known as diiodotyrosines and the monoiodotyrosines. So when monoiodotyrosines and the diiodotyrosines are linked together, and then they form the triiodotyrosine and tetraiodotyrosine. So when one monoiodotyrosine is linked to a diiodotyrosine, then in resulting T3 is formed. And when two diiodotyrosines are linked, then in resulting T4 or the tetraiodothyronine is formed. Tetraiodothyronine or T4 is also known as thyroxine. So that is the whole process of synthesis of thyroid hormone. So next is about the regulation of the control of the thyroid function of the thyroid hormone. So thyroid regulation or the regulation of the control of the thyroid hormone So thyroid hormone is regulated by a negative feedback mechanism. So during the negative feedback mechanism, the two hormones are involved. One is known as TSH, which is thyrotropin releasing hormone. So in regulation of the thyroid hormone secretion or the control of the thyroid function is done by the two major hormones. One is known as the TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and second is thyrotropin releasing hormone or TRH. So as all of you know about that, the TSH is synthesized by the anterior pituitary cells, thyrotroph cells of the anterior pituitary, and as well as the TRH, which is known as thyrotropin releasing hormone, is synthesized by thyroid control of thyroid hormone function. So the basic mechanism is actually a negative feedback control mechanism. So the basic control mechanism of the TSH production is the negative feedback action of the thyroid hormone on the anterior pituitary and to lesser extent to the hypothalamus. So from this figure, you can better understand the process of the regulation of the thyroid hormone. So during the regulation of the thyroid, when the metabolic rate is higher, or the T3 and the T4 concentration in the blood are elevated, or when the T3, T4 concentration in the blood are higher. So in result of higher concentration of the T3 and the T4 in the blood, hypothalamus actually stops TRH release, or hypothalamus stop the thyrotropin releasing hormone. When levels of the T3 and the T4 is higher in the bloodstream, then a resulting hypothalamus stops thyrotropin releasing hormone. So eventually anterior pituitary also stops the production of thyroid stimulating hormone. In other way, when the level of the T3 and the T4 is low in the bloodstream or is low in blood, so in that case the hypothalamus releases the TRH or thyrotropin releasing hormone, and in resulting the anterior pituitary triggers the TSH release or thyroid stimulating hormone. So as you can see here, when the level of the T3 and T4 is low in the blood, then the hypothalamus secretes the thyrotropin releasing hormone. This thyrotropin releasing hormone targets the thyrotrophs in the anterior pituitary, and eventually the anterior pituitary releases the TSH. This TSH hormone targets the thyroid gland and its target side is the thyroid follicular cells. In resulting, the thyroid follicular cells produces two different types of the hormone. One is known as the T3 and other is known as T4. So effect of the TSH on the thyroid follicle cells is that in result of the action of the TSH, the thyroid follicle cells releases the triiodothyronine and tetraiodothyroxine. And then both triiodothyronine and the tetraiodothyronine causes the increased basal metabolic rate or also elevates the metabolic activity. So, and hence the effects of the T3 and the T4 releases actually to enhance the metabolic activity or to increase the to elevate the metabolic reaction or to enhance the metabolic activities. Secondly, it also rise in body, also called the rise in body temperature. So such kind of effect is also known as the calorigenic effects. So the effects in which the body temperature rises. So this kind of effect is also known as calorigenic effect. So in result of such physiological effects in the body cells, then there is such effects cause a negative feedback mechanism to control the thyroid hormone secretions. So the elevated T3 and T4 levels in blood inhibits the release of thyrotropin releasing hormone and the thyroid stimulating hormone by targeting the two sides. One is the anterior pituitary and the second is the hypothalamus. So in result of the elevated level of the T3 and T4 that actually inhibits the production of the TRH at the hypothalamic level and TSH at the level of the anterior pituitary. So through this way, a negative feedback mechanism or through a negative feedback control, the thyroid hormones are regulated or their secretions are controlled by the thyroid gland. So next is about the thyroid hormone receptors. So the thyroid hormone receptors are present in the nuclei of most cells of the body. So as the thyroid hormone receptors are like the receptors of the steroid hormones are present in the nuclei, are located at the nuclei of the cells. So as unlike the receptors of the other hormones, their distribution is more limited. But in case of the thyroid hormones receptors, they are widely distributed in the nuclei of the body cells. So as their receptors are widely distributed in the body cell, so seem like that their actions of the triiodothyronine and the thyroxine are also widespread in the body and may affect the many organs and the tissues. So both hormones affects different body cells and different body organs. So also performs also plays a role in multiple so they have a multiple kind of the physiologic functions. So next is about the role of the thyrotropin or the thyroid stimulating hormone. As this hormone is secreted by the anterior pituitary in response to the thyrotropin releasing hormone. So the role or the functions of the thyrotropin stimulating hormone on thyroid gland. So first the TSH stimulates the production of the formation of the triiodothyronine and the tetraiodothyronine from thyroid gland. It also that is to increase the to stimulate the production of the T3 and the T4. And another function of the TSH is to increase the protein synthesis in follicle cells as the synthesis of the thyroglobulin. It also increases the DNA replication and the cell division in follicular cells, in the thyroid follicular cells, and also increases the amount of the rough synthesis, the amount of the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and the other cellular machinery such as the Golgi apparatus, which are required for by the follicle cells for the protein synthesis. So TSH also enhance the protein synthesis from the follicular cells. So for this purpose, it also enhance the amount of the rough endoplasmic reticulum as the Golgi apparatus that eventually required for the to enhance the synthesis of the protein synthesis from the follicular cells. In normal body, when the thyroid stimulating hormone levels are exceeds than the normal, so in this condition, thyroid cells undergoes a condition which is known as hypertrophy. So when the TSH level exceeds from the normal, so then the thyroid cells undergoes a condition which is known as hypertrophy. So during this condition, the cells increase in size. So what is hypertrophy? Hypertrophy is actually increase in cell size. So such when cells are increased in size, that eventually cause the enlargement of the thyroid gland. So such enlarged thyroid glands form a disorder, endocrine disorder, which is also known as a physiologic condition, which is known as goiter. So what is goiter? Goiter is actually goiter is a condition which occurs in result of the elevated level of the TSH, and this TSH it causes the hypertrophy of the thyroid cells. So then it's eventually cause the enlargement of the thyroid glands, and this is the condition is known as goiter. Then next is about the actions of the thyroid hormone. So as the thyroid hormone mainly performs the three different type of the physiological actions. One is known as the metabolic actions, and then next is about the permissive actions. Third is about the growth and development. First, which is known as the metabolic actions. So the thyroid hormones have different effects on the metabolism of organic compounds. So the organic components such as the carbohydrates and the lipids. So thyroid hormones play a significant role on the metabolism of the carbohydrates and the lipid. So as this metabolism is not to an extent as of the other hormones, such as in case of the insulin. So thyroid hormone also stimulates the carbohydrate absorption from the small intestine and also increases the fatty acid release from the adipocytes. So during the carbohydrate metabolism, so it also causes the rapid uptake of glucose by the cells, as in case of the small intestine or in other body cells. So one is its role in the rapid uptake of the glucose by the body cells. Second is that it also enhances the glycolysis. So another function of the thyroid hormone in carbohydrate metabolism is to enhance the phenomena or the process of the glycolysis. The third is the enhanced gluconeogenesis. Another role of the thyroid hormone or the carbohydrate metabolism is to enhance gluconeogenesis. So it also increases the rate of absorption from the gastrointestinal tract. So all such effects eventually results from the overall increase in the cellular metabolic enzyme which are caused by the thyroid hormone. And the next is about the another role of the lipid metabolism or the stimulation of the fat metabolism. So in this way, that decreases the fat stores of the body to greater extent than almost any other tissue elements, increases the fatty acid concentration in the plasma, so accelerates the oxidation of the free fatty acid by the cells, and decreases the concentration of the cholesterols, phospholipids, and triglycerides in the plasma and liver by increasing the excretion in the bile. So these actions also provides the energy to maintain the metabolic rate at higher levels and are consistent with one of the major actions of the thyroid hormone. So another function or role of the thyroid hormone is to provide the energy to maintain the metabolic rates. So for this purpose, that the major action of the thyroid hormone is to stimulate the activity of sodium potassium ATPases throughout the body. So by the activation of the sodium potassium ATPases, it eventually causes the accelerating active transport of ions through the cell membrane. So by the activation of the sodium potassium ATPases, it eventually causes the active transport of the ions throughout the cell membrane. So which eventually activates the sodium pumps and further increase in the heat production. So next are the permissive actions of the thyroid hormones. So many actions of the thyroid hormones are related to its permissive effects on. So one of them is its effect on some other hormones. So permissive actions of the thyroid hormones are actually its effects on some other chemical messenger or hormone. For example, thyroid hormone affects the catecholamines, and catecholamines including the epinephrine and the norepinephrine. Both epinephrine and the norepinephrine are actually found by or produced by the adrenal medulla. So in certain cases, the thyroid hormone also performs the related to the permissive actions, and for example, its permissive actions on the catecholamine is also its permissive actions on the insulin hormone, or its permissive actions on the some gastrointestinal hormone. So in case of the catecholamines, thyroid hormone causes the upregulation of the beta adrenergic receptors in the many tissues. So what are the beta adrenergic receptors? So beta adrenergic receptors are the receptors which are responsible for the are the sites for the binding of the catecholamines. So TH hormones upregulates or activates the beta adrenergic receptors, or the ability or to enhance the beta adrenergic receptors ability to bind with the catecholamines. So thyroid हार्मोन जो हैं वो एक्चुअली इनहेंस करते हैं बीटा एडिनेटिक रिसेप्टर्स की बीटा एडिनेटिक रिसेप्टर्स को for their binding to the catecholamines or epinephrine or the norepinephrine. So such kind of the actions are known as the permissive actions. So in such way, the actions of the catecholamines are accelerated or enhanced by the role of the thyroid hormone. So such receptors are present in many different tissues such as heart, and then in case of heart also in the nervous system. So the increased level of the thyroid hormone accelerates or potentiates the actions of the catecholamine and also the certain other endocrine hormones, even though the catecholamines are present within normal levels. So when the increased level of the thyroid hormones actually accelerates or potentiates the action of the catecholamines, even when they are present within the normal level. So their action is actually enhanced or accelerated by the permissive action of the thyroid hormone. So next, the mainly thyroid hormones have a main role in growth and development. So thyroid hormone promotes the growth and development of the brain during the fetal life and are the first few years of the postnatal life. The main function of the thyroid hormone is actually to enhance or promote the growth in the development of the nervous system or brain during the neonatal or the fetal life, and later on also have effect via the postnatal life, and also development of the brain during the postnatal life. So in the absence of the thyroid hormone, growth in the children is decreased. So thyroid hormones are actually required for the or they are important for the development of the nervous system in the early age or during the fetal life. So for the the development of the nervous system, the thyroid hormone is a major or a main are the key hormone which is required for the development of the nervous system in the early age. So in the absence of the thyroid hormone during the fetal life, which eventually results in the poorly developed nervous system and forms a mental condition of a mental retardation, which is known as a cretinism. So when the absence or the of the thyroid hormones during the fetal life, then at that time a condition is developed, or a disorder is appeared, which is known as cretinism, and cretinism is related to the mental retardation. So that's all for today.